Hey everyone, welcome to the Knowledge Boner podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Starr. Got my co-host Wally Wynn with me. He is on the road back from his trip. We talked about the trip last week. How was your weekend so far, Wally?
That was good, man. A lot of so I kind of mentioned before in the earlier episode. I knew some business owners in Louisiana, and so I went and tapped them and kind of went and kind of investigated, see how their businesses were doing. And funny enough, one of the main candidates for that I thought I was going to go and talk to, come to find out, I don't know if it's an economic deterrent or if he's just not doing well, but actually he had to close one of his locations. So that was kind of interesting for me to find out. So I definitely need to talk to him now for sure, right, to see how we can help out. And then another twist of turn events, I had a friend who's
Hmm.
actually, she owns she's a hairstylist, right? But come to find out, actually now she owns the freaking hair salon that she used to work at. So big baller. So a lot of changes in the business world, but that's two perfect examples right there, right? One business is like couldn't keep up with the times and probably on the decline now, right? Because they're resistant to change stuff and want to continue doing the stuff the same way they used to do. And then the other business being this girl was like,
Hmm.
well, I'm not just gonna cut hair here. I'm gonna freaking own this place, and she does now.
Yeah, that's
so,
awesome. So, uh,
interesting trip, yes.
Wally was able to turn visiting family into skill networking for business, and we talked a lot about that last week. And we are now coming in on today episode 41. We're 10 episodes away from going into season 3, which is amazing. And this week's gonna be kind of the recap week for us of when we started this journey with this podcast. Listening into you guys, we're now over 600 listeners uh, total for all of our episodes. So we greatly appreciate that. That's amazing. And it's awesome where we started months ago, with our goal of just giving you guys 100 episodes and giving as much value as we can. And we really just want to kind of just recap on the journey of where we are now, and what was working, what wasn't working. um, I mean, gosh, when we first started this, we were right in the beginning stages of trying to hit momentum in our businesses. We were, just at the point where had just invested into ourselves for our skills. I mean, that's when Wally was really wanting to learn everything he could about copywriting, just to add that to his tool belt. That's when I really wanted to level up my sales skills. So it's awesome seeing where we are today from where we were that many episodes ago. So we're going to be sharing throughout this week everything that's happened to us, what goals we've accomplished, how much momentum we've hit, which is going to be great for everyone listening, because if you're just now tuning in, you can literally go back to the very beginning and hear where we were. So it's awesome to be able to share that with everyone. What have you learned so far on the journey since we started podcasting up till like now, Wally?
Oh man. So, well, really, obviously, like you said before, we said, copywriting, right? That's what I invested in. But, more than just that, I think in general, I've kind of figured out like how to really meet business owners in a face-to-face setting, right? And be able to get their attention and kind of like and be able to not always be able to convert them to a customer, but I can always at least be on friendly terms with them. And I think that's something that a lot of people are missing when they're first starting in business right now, is like actually being able to
Mm-hmm.
to conversate with someone without trying to pitch them or sell them on your stuff, right? Like actually be their friend, business owner, like buy stuff from them, interact with them, build a relationship, right? Because when you build a relationship with somebody, it becomes way easier to then close them or sell a service to them, right? It's the same thing with with your seafood, where they taught you in your closing skills. It's a really fast track way to build relationship, and talk about like a 30-minute call. I'm talking, mine's more like face to face, so I'm extending that period quite a
Yeah,
bit, but it's still the
100%.
same
And what
concept, right? We're still trying to
and
build
what's cool
relationship with
about it
people.
is, for those listening in,
As
Wally's
partners.
gotten more clients since then. I'm actually closing for a very successful influencer on social media, so I'm super excited to be working with him and his team. But here we are, 41 episodes in, and playing the long game. And for people starting their entrepreneurial journey, definitely go back to the beginning, follow along with this podcast, and just kind of gauge how long it took and what we were focused on during those times, right? me and you both kept talking about honing our skills and learning as we go. And we're really kind of playing the long game and putting the time in and just now starting to get results, just now getting to that point of momentum instead of um, I think everyone assumes that they're going to start their journey and come out of the gates running and then just all of a sudden being ultra successful,
Not just running. People think they're going to come out of the gate sprinting, right? When me and Dylan, like we go and invest in these courses, like everybody has such. Don't get me wrong, you got to have big goals, right? You got to have them, like no doubt, right? But a lot of these guys, I feel like it's almost unrealistic. Now, that's a great job by whoever made the course, right? Because they're selling the shit out of you, so that's why you're so fired up. So that obviously that's a great job to them. But on the flip side of that, though, a lot of people they think it's going to be really, really fast, and so their expectations are a little too high, right? Because you got to realize if this is something you've never done before, never been an entrepreneur, never like worked by yourself, never tried to do any kind of business by yourself, there's a lot of stuff that you got to learn before you're going to hit momentum. And don't get me wrong, there's people that will go and pop off right off the bat. You'll see them in 3 weeks, they'll just freaking skyrocket.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I'm going to say that's the
100%.
exception
And
and not the norm.
I mean, I've had people, I know you've had people online in some groups and stuff where you're having success reaching out to you. I've had the same, um, people congratulating us and saying that that's awesome. And I just want people to understand just from our perspective of in our mind, we don't see it as being lucky. Like we see it as like we've been prepping for this for a while, and there are so many skills that me and Wally have been just obsessed with really learning and mastering in order to be able to get to the point that we are now to where we can actually go into momentum. So if you're brand new as an entrepreneur, we definitely want you to understand that the reason why some people are getting to that point of momentum is because they've been in this for a while. I mean, it's been years for us guys, years. Like not even sugarcoating that. Wally knows.
Yeah, it has. It's been literal years. And I mean, like, and some people, they don't even know about the stuff before the podcast even started to try the stuff we tried. You know what I mean? There is a whole, like, there's like months and months worth of content there of us trying different videos, trying different strategies and all kinds of different stuff.
Right.
Before we even
And
started
as
the
I,
podcast, before anybody could even hear about
my
it, right?
team that I work with now, closing for this influencer, we're all starting to really get to know each other, kind of develop a relationship, which is cool. And it's interesting when during our meetings, we share stories. And now that we're all kind of opening up and I talk about my past failures, my past experiences and past businesses of success that I've had to where it all just dropped and died. Everyone's like, holy cow, like I didn't know that you had those, that experience or that's happened to you and stuff. So it's like, yeah, like I just wish people understood the behind the scenes of like, man, there are so many ups and downs over the past years, like so many ups and downs, like momentum to success to boom, like losing everything, like failing, having to start over, like literally from scratch, like trying to find new skills and get into something new. Like when people say like it's a grind and it's a hustle and it's just like entrepreneurial journey of struggle, like it really is. And I think me and Wally are just so used to it that like the shit doesn't phase us, right? Like we're just so used to it. I really don't know how else to explain it. But I want to really dive into today of just evaluating what's working, right? So when me and Wally look back to where we were when we started the podcast, what we were doing, and now we're at the point where we're doubling down on what's working. We've talked before in this podcast about pivoting, and me and Wally have had in the beginning certain things that were on our list of focus, right? When we started this podcast, and now in our business, we're at that point where things are going, it's moving, and we're getting clients, and we're taking action, and we're making sales. So now we actually have shifted our focus because you always want to dive into what's automatically working. So there are some projects we had to push aside to the future because we want to double down on what is working, and that's what it's all about. Do you have any insight on that as well?
Yeah, and I definitely do. So like, for example, like me, obviously, everybody, the way they're trying to get clients online right now is and you can go to any freaking Facebook group that exists. It's all DM. There's the DM game or the email game, right? So everybody has their different strategies on like how to craft this perfect either cold email or cold DM to a Facebook page or anything like that. And I'm not saying that those things don't work, right? But for me, what I found out is that I actually happen to be better in the face to face, right? I can do way better face to face than I am in the DM. And I guess I don't know if it's the way I carry myself or the way that I speak to people on the face to face basis, but it has more power for me than my social media presence when I go out and reach out to people. So do you think that I'm gonna all of a sudden just be like, no, I'm gonna go 100% on cold DMs and emails? No. What's working right now for me is networking. So you better bet I'm gonna
Yeah, and Wally's
quintuple
given
down
some
on
awesome
networking.
advice to some people online on Facebook um, after he had his success. And what's interesting, you've been posting, you've gotten a couple clients since the first post you did. Everyone was commenting on there like, oh, you could DM, you can email, and that's what everyone's been trying, and it hasn't been working. And then Wally was like, I don't get it. Like, this is working for me. I'm literally telling these people, do this. This is all you got to do, and they won't do it. And then all of a sudden, someone else posts in the same group and did the same thing. And Wally's like, "This is what I've been saying forever." Like, and no one listened. And then, but
I was like, man, I've been saying this for 2 weeks. I was like, man, I've been saying this for 2 weeks, and I put it in there. I could actually put a screenshot and like put it in a link for you guys to look at. But anyway, yeah, I put it in there. I was like, man, I've been telling this advice for 2 weeks, and nobody's taking it. And so then I actually put a freaking post in there, and I called all of them out. I was like, look, I was like, all you guys are too scared to like go and network and like meet people face to face as an option. Not to say it's the only option, just like cold email is also an option too. But right, but you have to at least try that, right? And some of these guys are like they're so scared, they're so like built on like wanting to build an internet business that they can't even do the face to face because they're so engrossed either on the internet side, either they're engrossed in it or they're scared to just go face to face,
so
right? And I mean, you're just scared
yeah,
of
no,
adversity, right?
100%. I mean, I think people are just. I think DMing
Go ahead.
and doing cold email route for entrepreneurs for them is just something it's more comfortable, right? There's nothing scary about that. But you're actually going out and networking, so that's a different beast. You actually have to get out of the house and actually do something. I think that most people, especially when they're starting out, it's more uncomfortable for them to go out and network and really get that face to face. So they would rather just send out messages and emails and kind of do a cold there. And that's a very high level numbers game. I mean, it could work, but there's a lot of testing that you have to do. You have to see what works and what doesn't. But if you really want to hit momentum and start going out with speed and getting results, you have to apply what Wally's doing. And that's literally getting out there, going to events, networking, mastering networking to get those closes and those sales under your belt.
Yeah, well, and it helps you too, because think about it, right? A lot of people like you're scared to, like, for example, let's say you're just starting and you're opening up your own agency, right? You're not even 100% sure how to sell that yet. And what I mean by that is, you got a course, right? You got a course, it's cool. You know how to do it. Yeah, you got some skills now, right? But you still have to sell it. And it's very hard to just sell right over email. You're always going to get to the phone, especially if you're gonna go any get high ticket, anything over like $3,000 or $4,000, you're gonna have to be on the phone 100%. So and so you're gonna have that voice time, but just think about that, like you need to develop those skills to be able to pitch, right? And what better way to put yourself 100% on spot is if you can sell somebody like face to face, right?
Right. No, I completely agree. And it's interesting too, being able to kind of share this. Did you see that post that I tagged you in on Facebook of Gary Vee talking about the upcoming economy and stuff?
Yes, I did.
You would watch that?
I didn't get a chance to watch it yet.
Well, I mean, first of all, for those guys listening, man, I did not understand how. I tell you, dude, Gary is a smart dude. Like, no bullshit. That guy plans so far ahead. Like, I mean, genius planning, where like he's ready and understands what's about to happen and does everything he does is like so strategic. And he actually explained why he's doing what he's doing with his agency. Like, I was mind blown, freaking mind blown. I was like, holy shit, this guy is no bullshit, planning out like decades ahead, knows exactly where he's going to be when he accomplishes his goals of the Jets, how exactly he's going to do it and why it's going to work. And he even said, he's like, literally, when this whole plan comes into fruition, people are going to be like, oh man, he's so lucky. And he's like, no, I can go back to this video and show people like, look, I said this. This is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is what's going to happen. Like, go back. And he brought up a good point. He's like, imagine being able to go back to somebody like Jeff Bezos on Amazon. And let's say he was just documenting every day when he packed books and shipped them out. Right? That wouldn't be something interesting to watch, right? You know, here he is every day starting his entrepreneur journey, just loading up books and shipping them out for his business. But today, with all the success of Amazon, he's like, if Jeff would have done that, he's like, do you have any idea how many views he would have on those videos? Like billions being able to go back. So it's just really cool to be able to be so early here on this podcast and this journey with everyone listening today, that we get to share our experiences and know that, hey, you know, in the future, as we keep hitting this, you know, these next levels, people can just go back and listen. And if you're here today and you are listening to exactly what Wally's telling you, that is working for him in his business right now, like literally take that and apply it. Like you're hearing it in action. If you're coming back like from a year from now and just now starting listening to these episodes, guys, and you see how much more success Wally's having, obviously what he's telling you today is working. So just think about that. Isn't that, it's kind of crazy when you think about it, right, Wally?
No, absolutely. Well, and we always said that too, as a cool thing for us, even because, well, you know, obviously we're all big Gary Vee fans. Now, Gary Vee does have this weird thing, in my opinion, where you know, I call it struggle porn, right? For lack of a better term, because he does over glamorize like the whole entrepreneur struggle. And I think some people like absorb it a little too hard. And so they just 100% believe that it's going to be hard, and then don't ever assume that it could be easy sometimes. Not to say that it's easy, but sometimes it can be, right? You've had sales fall in your lap before, right, Dylan?
Oh yeah, definitely. But I mean, bro, like that video, he even says like the economy collapse coming. Like he knows. He says he's like I have money like in my backyard, like probably $1 million worth of cash, and he's like, and my financial planners get so pissed off with me. And they're like, you know, you could have this money going into this and getting a return. You'd be making so much money with that investment.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, no, man, like I planned for shit. You guys don't understand that I'm already okay and comfortable with if shit hits the fan, because he even said like all his money and stuff is like so capped with his business that he's not paying himself a lot at all. He's like, that's what people don't realize, that and he's prepping to where if stuff goes down, then he has to live under a roof, you know, a shared space with other people and his family. Like he's all about it and he's comfortable with it. He's cool with it. It doesn't mean shit. And all that money, he's like, you know what? And that $1 million cash is what's going to be needed. He's like, because the valuation of the dollar is about to fluctuate. It's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything's about to shift. And he's like, that's what people don't get. And he's like, I'm ready for it. Now that $1 million, when the shift happens, may only be worth like, you know, 100,000. He's like, oh, well, screw it. He's like, but at least I planned and I was prepped for it.
Yeah. And one thing,
and
go ahead.
Yeah. So, but it's just so unique that even somebody his caliber, like he's okay with letting himself struggle right now and not, he literally like doesn't buy like nice shit. Like he's so in depth thinking like, I have to continuously, even though I'm making this money, eat shit now, because when all this turns around, he's like, my agency is going to be able to buy up these businesses and then it's going to flip when he sells them. And then boom, he's like, I'm going to buy the fucking New York Jets.
Yeah.
And that's why he's like eating shit.
Here's one thing that I'd like to point out too. And I think it's something that we can bring out of the Gary Vee story, is that he's always prepared, right? You see, it's always prepared. And so one thing also that one of the guys, you know, I closed him as a client, right? But he kind of said this to me and it made total sense. You know, me and him, you know, it's funny enough, typically when you have a, you know, one-on-one with a client, you know, typically like sales conversation, you don't really build a relationship. Actually, me and this guy, I've only known him for like a week, but he's actually like, me and him are like already like on texting, like first name calling basis, right? So it's pretty funny. Anyway, so, you know, I talked to this guy and he, you know, basically what impressed him about what I did for him was I gave him a sample, right? I gave him a sample writing. Now, if I had not spent the time and money to invest in that course back 40 episodes ago, right? There is no way I could have closed this client today. And so that's basically what I want to point out here is preparing, right? I was prepared for the opportunity when it presented itself, which allowed me to execute, right? But if you're not continually preparing, if you're not always like thinking about, okay, like how can I ascend to the next level? How can I like go up? How can I like move forward in life, right? Then when an opportunity hits you, you may not be ready for it. It might be the best opportunity. It might be the one that crushes your business and you go from 0 to 100 like very fast, right? But you weren't prepared, so you just have to let that one run by you, which would be very, very shitty.
You definitely got to be prepared. 100%. And so, yeah, we just wanted to kind of elaborate on that with you guys, give everyone a recap, say that we appreciate everyone that has been tuning in. Tomorrow, we're going to dive more into the skills that we have developed since starting the podcast journey. Share with you guys what we learned in the process of developing them, and really excited for this recap week, just to some value and a little behind the scenes scoop. So not so much as teaching, but we just want to share our stories with you guys and let you guys know what's going on in our lives, so you can just kind of relate and understand the behind the scenes. And I love this because I feel like a lot of people don't get to have the behind the scenes of people, right? They just see and hear whatever content's out, but they don't understand what's going on behind the scenes. That's why I'm really excited for this week, and I know Wally is as well. Do you have anything to end on that, Wally?
No, man. I'm looking forward to the episode tomorrow. We are going to recap this bitch.
Definitely. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Just like before, Wally's driving while we're recording this. So the audio will be up here on YouTube. We won't be incorporating video with that, but all the links and everything will be in the descriptions. If you guys want to follow us online, definitely check us out on Instagram, and we will catch you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys have a wonderful Monday.